Um, Hello, YouTube and the internet and the rest of the world. Kind of doing a late night stream today, or I guess tonight. I was like this close to not doing it because I ate too much food for dinner and I'm fat, sweaty, and I just wanted to roll up in a ball and sleep. But I really wanted to do a stream talking about some video games, which initially I didn't really know if there was anything I had to say about some of the upcoming video games that I think look interesting, other than saying, "Ooh, I think these look interesting. You should check them out too. Looking forward to them." I feel like it would be kind of sort of a waste of my time and your time if that was all my video was. It's just like, oh, I'm looking forward to them. They look really interesting. Blah 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 blah. But done a little bit of thinking, and I think I have something interesting to add to the equation. I mean, I'm not exactly doing a reaction to trailer videos. I have too much self-respect to do reaction videos. That's all. So sorry. I'm gonna try to leave links to all of the video games that I mention in this video. The first two games I'm going to be talking about will be The Last of Us and Days Gone, and sort of talking about them sort of at the same time, sort of not. Um, uh, we'll talking about The Last of Us Part Two, which is a game that I've been sort of looking forward to for quite a while. That I've been looking forward to Days Gone a little bit longer, just because the trailers for that were initially released like the summer of 2016, and then trailers for Last of Us Part Two were released like December of 2016. So, oh, and there's a shit ton more like gameplay footage and trailer footage of Days Gone, so that makes it more interesting. While with The Last of Us, they've been hiding it from us. Okay, can we just admit that they've been fucking hiding it from us? Uh, it's just true. I think they said it's gonna release sometime later this year, and we haven't seen any gameplay. We've just seen like two trailers. At least I think they said it's gonna be released later this year. I may have gotten that wrong, so if I've gotten that wrong, sorry about that. But what we do have with The Last of Us is two sort of interesting trailers. In the first trailer, we get Ellie and Joel. We see them, and we see Ellie. She's a few years older, probably about 18 or 20, if I had to guess. And Joel is still curmudgeonly old, middle-aged man. So of course he's not going to change all that much. But we see, you know, Ellie's talking about revenge and killing people, and she's singing a strange song. I guess Joel finally, taught her how to sing and play the guitar after all. Well, I guess you don't really teach someone how to sing, but you teach someone how to play the guitar. Um, and so the first trailer that they put out, I think, is one that's sort of to be expected because a lot of people probably obviously would want another game with Ellie and Joel, but um, I remember like reading some stuff about Neil Druckmann, and he was saying that one of the reasons they were debating not doing another Last of Us game was because they sort of felt like they'd sort of told Joel and Ellie's story, so to speak. But I guess Neil has decided that there was more to tell, or another story to tell, or whatever. There's a lot of speculation about sort of what what Ellie's objective in this game is going to be. It does seem like she's potentially hunting down members of Fireflies and members of the Fireflies and killing them potentially. I don't know. Um, and then there's the second trailer, which we see a whole bunch of new people that we've never seen before, which is sort of more or less what I've wanted to see in a new trailer because I sort of like I don't want it to be this like ridiculous thing where every new Last of Us game is just a fucking like regurgitation of the previous game. It's like, oh, fucking Joel and Ellie, Joel and Ellie, they go on a fucking adventure, and then they blah 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 blah. I mean, right, the first one was great, but it's just when you see the same characters again and again and again, it's just it can get tiresome really really quick. So it's kind of why there's a part of me that's rather hesitant about Last of Us Part Two. Um, but seeing the second trailer makes me sort of feel more comfortable because it makes me think that maybe we're going to see um, another because to me the new characters are significant because it's like basically a new story, a new seeing the same world but from a different perspective, a different path, so to speak. So I think that's important. That's kind of what I more or less wanted them to do is if they're going to do sequels with new characters so that we can see more of this world from a wider variety of perspectives. Um, Now with the new trailer, there's a if you've seen the second trailer for The Last of Us 2, yeah, something that people are kind of freaking out about is the girl who got hung and almost disemboweled. She got hung. Well, she didn't. Well, she sort of just she hanged and was almost disemboweled. And there's a lot of speculation about who that girl is. I think the most obvious answer is that it's Ellie's mom, but I kind of hope it's not. Um, because to me that would just seem like too obvious and stupid, and it would also seem too obvious and stupid. Well, maybe not stupid or necessarily obvious if Ellie's revenge story has to do with her mom, because that could potentially be interesting. But what I don't want to see Ellie going on a path of revenge that is based completely on a lie that Joel told her. I don't want that. I think that would be horrible if Ellie goes on a murderous, psychopathic, you know, tirade against a bunch of people because of the lie that Joel had told Ellie at the end of the first game. um, so I hope that doesn't happen. Some people are speculating that Ellie's going to somehow learn about her mother and whatever the fuck happened to her, and then that's going to make her want to hunt down and kill the fireflies, which I suppose is possible, but I really don't know. Um, I'm going to suggest that woman is a new character who has really no direct relationship with Ellie at all. I'm probably going to be proven wrong. I'm probably going to be wrong about this, um, but that's sort of what I'm going to speculate is that she is a new character that has no correlation to Ellie whatsoever. I don't really have any evidence to back that up. I'm just sort of speculating here. Um, but another thing that I find to be interesting in the second trailer is the two little Asian kids, and one of them refers to the infected as demons. And that may not seem very significant, but I think it would make sense from the perspective of a person who was born years after the event started, who is relatively uneducated or undereducated, doesn't have the same level of education that a kid today in non apocalypse world would have, to refer to the infected as demons. I think that kind of makes sense, especially if you had kind of a religious upbringing from some parents who didn't really feel the need to explain to you, what happened to civilization. So it kind of makes sense that, if you had some religious teaching and your parents never explained to you what the fuck happened to civilization, why the world is the way it is, it sort of makes sense that you would, um, you know, think, oh, fuck these clickers and infected or demons, basically. I think that makes sense. Now, why is that significant? Is because so like, okay, if the girl is Ellie's mom, then this probably then it would have to take place like many, many years before the events of the first Last of Us game. And take in mind, um, when we meet up with Joel and Ellie, that's about 20 years after shit hits the fan. And Ellie's about 14. So that would mean that um, uh, so that would mean uh, fuck, I lost my train of thought. Hopefully, you know where I was going with that. You probably don't. Now I just look dumb. Um, but it just doesn't make sense. At least I don't necessarily think it makes complete sense that girl is Ellie's mom for that reason, because that would mean that those kids grew up and had education in sort of the world before, right? Um, Before shit hit the fan. So, so to speak. Um, to me, the fact that the kids are referring to the infected as demons suggests that they're poorly educated and had a religious upbringing, and this takes place possibly 20 years or many many years after the events of Last of Us 2, which would mean that it probably possibly isn't Ellie's mom. So just putting that out there. That's my whole thing. That's my whole thing. Okay. Hopefully my train of thought wasn't too confusing to follow. I just think differently. Okay, so moving on to Days Gone, because I said I was going to talk about them at the same time, but I guess I didn't. Um, so I have been anticipating Days Gone for a while, and a lot of people have been making some comparisons to this game to The Last of Us, and I understand why those comparisons exist, but I feel that those comparisons are inherently unfair, and I think that by making those comparisons, that you are going to end up more disappointed than not. You're going to possibly set your expectations a bit too high, and you're going to be sorely disappointed. Um, so, and upon watching a lot of gameplay footage of Days Gone, it sort of seems like to me it does have um, like a very different feel to it, and I would suggest that Days Gone probably I would almost think that it might have some like more in common with Red Dead Redemption than The Last of Us, and more specifically Red Dead Redemption, the Undead Nightmare like expansion, which wasn't really a DLC as much as it was like a second game. Um, and I think that if you've played Red Dead Redemption Undead Nightmare or seen gameplay of it, you should like instantly like this should just make sense. Like, oh yeah, duh. It was an open world game filled with zombies. Now, obviously, the developers of Days Gone are emphasizing that they're infected are not zombies. That they're infected are alive, and that their game has its own like ecosystem, which I think is cool. I think that's neat. I like that. Um, and I think that um, will make things interesting. The idea of infected ecosystem, um, and in upon watching like so they've released like a 1 hour long gameplay footage. I mean they're showing a lot of gameplay of this game before. I think they've like if you were to add up the like hour that it was like 52 minutes they released, and they released another like 40-minute video, and then like they've showed at least like 2 hours of gameplay of this game so far. So so I think, and they're saying it's still in the alpha phase, it's still in development. So I think that they're very confident about their game, and that their game. I'm trying to suggest think that there probably is a lot more to it than what they're showing, and that what they're showing is literally just like dipping your fucking pinky toe in the pond. That's just my guess. So because for The Last of Us, I remember when they were showing like gameplay of that, they really didn't show a whole lot, and I think it's because that, relatively speaking, it's, or the original Last of Us was a linear story path. Think like I think it would take you like what 12 or 13 hours to get through it, um, and so obviously it wouldn't want to show as much. But with this game, it's open world, probably a substantially less linear story path. Probably, I'm going to guess, probably has the Days Gone probably has several different ways they can end the game, because they mentioned that the decisions you make in the game affect your Deacon's Deacon, the main character, his friend Boozer. So, which to me suggests that decisions you make throughout the game could uh, affect the ending somehow. So, um, which I think is neato, my burrito. Um, so, okay, where was I going with that? I wasn't going anywhere with that. Okay, so two other games that I think look look neato. And in this stream, I'm pretty much exclusively talking about games that I personally find to be interesting. I am not going to waste your time or my time talking about games that I don't find to be interesting. Just emphasizing that this is all stuff that is of interest to me. So not trying to waste nobody's time here. Um, so the two other games I find to be interesting are Atomic Hearts and GTFO, which I think stands for Get the Fuck Out, but I'm not 100% sure. And these games, I think the trailers they released have just come out like this year, probably in the last, I think in the last like month or two. So there's really like no gameplay footage of it. It's just like I think like one or two trailers for each of them. And what I think both of these games are trying to go for is sort of a horror action thing. That's what I think they're going for. At least that's what they look like to me. Atomic Hearts kind of has a very like Bioshock feel to it. I don't know why. It just kind of makes me think Bioshock for some reason. Um, so, and I find the idea of action horror action to be sort of an interesting concept for a game, because like I've really never played any like actual horror games, and I've seen a lot of gameplay of horror games, and I don't find them to be interesting. They seem really boring. I mean, if you like them, that's fine. I'm not trying to shit on them, say they're just crap. So if you like them, great. Um, but it just seems like just like filled with a bunch of like pop-ups, and they're just trying to like you're just meandering around in a world waiting for something to pop up in your face and make you scream. And that's of like no interest to me whatsoever. Um, but the idea of action horror, trying to combine some action with horror, seems more interesting. And a game that I think kind of was dipping its toe in that concept a little bit, was The Last of Us. Hate mentioning it again. Now, The Last of Us is not inherently a horror game. It's not trying to be a scary game, but the infected that you come across are kind of, I don't know if I'd say they're scary, um, but there's a lot of tension. I remember playing the game a lot and being kind of like just a nervous wreck, basically, because you know you didn't necessarily have to be stealthy in that game to survive. If you had ammo, enough weapons, you could just kind of do a little bit of ramboing, but you were definitely rewarded for being stealthy. And there were times in The Last of Us where it was really hard to be stealthy and just really kept you on edge. And there were times where you just couldn't be stealthy, where no matter how hard you try, you were going to be seen, so to speak. And there were a lot of times where I would get through parts of the game, and I sort of just got through by like dumb luck, not really by skill or plan. It's just sort of like, it just sort of worked out. It just happened that way. It's like, maybe I tried sneaking, but then I made a little mistake, and then I got attacked, and then I had to, you know, kill 3 things and run around and all sorts of weird stuff. It is just a game that kind of kept managed to keep me on edge, and I think, being able to kill the things trying to kill you, um, makes it more interesting because there's times where there's almost like an illusion of like control, where it's like you think like, oh yeah, I'm fine. I can kill these things. I'm okay. When in reality, these things can kill you quite easily. And I think that this is a concept that Atomic Hearts and potentially GTFO are maybe dipping their toes in, or exploring a bit more. And some other games I think kind of explored this concept a little bit. A little bit was Red Dead Redemption Undead Nightmare. Hate mentioning it again. Sorry. They're just good fucking games. Obviously, Last of Us, Bioshock, and even Metro 2033. Now, again, I don't think any of these games were really necessarily meant to be horror games. I don't think they were necessarily meant to scare you, per se. And I'll admit my playtime with Metro 2033 is substantially more limited. Um, I played through most of the first Bioshock game, but not all of it. So that's just due to my own laziness. Sorry. So those 2 games, my experience is a bit more limited, but it does seem like what I would consider to be action horror, definitely elements in like those 4 games that I just mentioned, and I think that's more interesting. Like being in this world where there's like monsters and things that are trying to kill you, and you trying to like sneak around them or hide from them. Like you're almost trying to avoid fighting them. Like that's something that in The Last of Us, I remember trying to do quite a lot. Is trying to avoid combat if I could help it. Even in Red Dead Redemption Undead Nightmare, not to the same extent because that game wasn't, it definitely wasn't scary, but there's definitely a lot of me trying to avoid combat from zombies if I didn't have to fight zombies, because fighting them was kind of difficult to say the least. Definitely wasn't fun always. It was because I think in Red Dead Redemption Undead Nightmare you had to get a headshot. You had to get a headshot, which is obviously harder to do. Takes more skill, takes more time and practice. Makes things a little more stressful when you have like 10 zombies just running at you, and you gotta try getting like a bunch of headshots. And you gotta try running for your life at the same time. So, I think uh, that's what the Atomic Hearts and GTA. I think I'm just repeating myself now. It's late at night. I'm tired, um, and I think that's all I really wanted to really say. Um, so that's it. I hope you, if anyone happened, I'm seeing I have like 1 viewer here. Actually, at one point I saw I had 2 viewers. So anyone who's like watched this either all the way through or most of the way through, I appreciate it. If you're watching it after the fact, then that's just as great. Remember to, if you happen to be the one person watching this live, don't forget to like it after it is posted, and leave a comment telling me what you think. Did you like it? Did you hate it? Is there anything I could do better? Um, so that's it. Also, not wearing my usual headsets because my headset's right here. I'm just trying to like use it as a mic. So I hope this audio turned out okay. Hope it's not total abject shit. Maybe I'll try getting an actual mic soon, possibly. And that's about it. Thanks for watching. It's been fun. Hope to do this again tomorrow, maybe, or at least within the next 3 days. So that's it. Bye.